Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. There's more opportunity than ever, but most sales reps right now are failing, and it's really not the market. Today, Matt Easton, founder of Easton University, joins us to break down why salespeople are struggling right now and simple shifts to start really winning. So Matt, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. You are right. There's some headwinds out there. Times, it's perceived that times are tough, but for great salespeople and professionals, times are not tough. They're crushing it. So talk to us about this.
Absolutely, Jim. And this is, it's heartbreaking, and we've done it to ourselves. But if you're saying this, or your people that work for you are saying this, hey, the leads are broke, nobody has any money, it's just terrible out there. Not so. The world has really changed, Jim, and it's buzzing in my pocket. These little buggers are the freaking problem, okay? And here's what I mean. Sales is different because of those things. It is people now, because of social media, because of all of this stuff that's literally rewiring our brains, Jim. Yeah. We are now in a mode where we listen to disagree. When you go through your social media, you're like, that's crap, that's fake news, we're negative by nature as people. Right. Where we need to understand this as sales reps is the more you talk, especially in the beginning, the more that person that you're talking to has a filter and is only listening to go, that's not right, they're just trying to sell me something. Probably not the case, right? And they're trying to disagree with you. And right. I'm not saying salespeople need to do this, but just hear me out for a second. If you didn't talk at all, if you said absolutely nothing, and you only asked questions, you would outsell your competition that's doing all of the talking. Why? The person that you're talking to, if you're only asking questions, has nothing to refute. They have nothing to disagree with. They're telling you why they're interested. They're telling you what their problems are. So in today's world, and this is a big shift that we've had even in the last 5 years, you need to slow the process down in the beginning. You need to spend all of that time up front asking questions and kind of peeling that onion back. And that's where the relationship is going to start with that customer. Where we're at in sales right now, because of social media, because of everything, is we think we need to talk fast, and we think we need to have all the right answers, and we think we need to present all of the product information. It's the exact opposite. Their phones can do that for them. We need to slow down. Hey, what's your biggest reason for looking for a blank? When you say you don't like your situation right now, can you give me a specific example? If we can just slow down and we can train ourselves to do that, we're going to close a lot more business. It's just the world has changed. The market's not bad. It's just our wiring in our brain has totally changed, and we're now listening to go, not true, trying to sell me something, and if we can just slow down in the beginning, we'll be able to close a lot faster in the end.
Sure. The myth of, you hear the term, that guy's a natural born salesperson, or he's a natural closer. Talk to me about that. The myth of the natural closer versus trained professionals. Talk to me about that.
Complete garbage. And it always was complete garbage. Nobody is born a natural born closer more than they're born learning how to speak. Nobody comes into this world knowing how to speak Cantonese. We had to learn that, right? Nobody was born knowing how to fly an F-22 fighter jet. We had to learn that. Sales is something that we had to learn. Now, where that legend, and it is nothing more than that, an urban myth, where the urban myth of natural born closer comes from is Jim back in the day was, dare I say, a natural born hard worker. Jim picked up the phone. Jim called people. People misunderstood that back in the day as, oh, well, Jim's a natural born closer. No, Jim's just doing the work, right? Now, I will say back in the day, people had access to very little information and they had fewer choices. So if you were Jim and you were not afraid to talk to people, you had a much better chance of making a really great living because you were the only person in the room talking to them. Now these phones have ruined that for you. So again, you have to follow a process. You need to know what questions to ask. You need to know how to ask them. And you need to hang in there and learn. Our job as salespeople today, and we can be trained on this, our job is to learn about somebody's situation, where they're at right now, where do they want to go, and our job is to help guide them through them making a decision, not call them and pitch them, not give some clever, witty, humorous thing on a cold call. All that stuff is complete crap. You don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to be a natural born closer, because nobody is. You just have to follow a process and stay cool, calm, and collected and ask the right questions.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. You say that the silent killers in sales are closing process, follow-up, mindset, and learning about the customer. Do a deep dive on that.
Yeah. So, and again, you can be trained on the right closing process, right? Like our closing process. I'm going to ask you if it makes sense, because I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm giving you all the power.
Right.
If you say no, I'm going to, got it, what's a good next step?
Yep.
If you don't know what a next step is, now I'm going to point the question at myself and go, totally understand, Jim. What's a good next step for me? Right? Because people love to boss other people around. That's a strategic closing process.
Yeah.
But the closing processes of bygones be gone. Hey, if you don't do this now, you're going to lose it. Or come on, you know you can make this decision. This kind of muscling and forcing your way in there.
Right.
When you push on people, they're going to push back. So those are the processes that don't work. And dare I say, Jim, I don't think they ever really did. I think it goes back to bygones ago. Those people who, and by the way, those are the people, as you know, you came from the world of sales. Those were the people that typically got promoted. The ones that were closing, what did they get promoted into?
Sales management.
Management.
Yeah.
Right. And so they would tell other people, oh, come on, you gotta put the pressure on the customer, right? It's buy or die. You can't let that customer leave, or whatever the situation. Like, that misinformation compounds itself, because it was just the people that were working before that got a few deals, and then they got promoted, when it's counterintuitive what they were doing. They got the deal despite the fact that they were putting pressure. So we're not following up, we're not checking in, we're not putting pressure on people, we're being skillful, right? Like skillful follow-up. Hey, Jim, Matt Easton over here at Easton University, as promised, calling to see if it makes sense to get your team access to the sales coaching so we can take you from that 9.8 million you did last year to well over 13 million here before the end of this year. I'm on my mobile, 720-660-3202. It's a skillful follow-up. Not, hey, I'm following up. Not, I'm checking in. Hey, if you don't get this, your team's going to fail. We can't put pressure on people. We can't do most of the talking. What we need to do is ask the questions so we can figure out where that person's at and where they want to be. There's a right way to do this stuff, and there's an amateur way to do this stuff. And unfortunately, the internet, media, social media is exposing the amateurs, and that's causing them to think that the market's down, the leads are bad, and nobody has any money. It's neither of those. They're just exposed for not knowing how to consult with people.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very good point. How do today's sales reps, how can they gain the confidence and skills to dominate in their field?
Yeah, great question, Jim. How we get the skills and the confidence to dominate is we learn a step-by-step process. I can yell at you, your manager can yell at you, people can tell you work harder, do more, make 100 dials, but if you don't know the steps that you're taking as you make those dials, if you don't know the questions you're asking, and more importantly, why you're asking those questions, well, you're just going to get burnt out. So the way to get confidence is through baby steps, to understand the process, to follow the process and go, wait a minute, that worked, right? Yeah. When I called that lead and said, hey, Jim, Matt Easton with Easton University wanted to give you a call personally to make sure my people got you all the information you needed, then they're going to start to see, wow, this really did work. This person really treated me like a senior person who cared, because I sounded like a senior person who cared. When you change what you're saying and why you're saying it, success will come, and then it's easier for you to compound on that, to build on that, to get more skillful on that process.
That's right. Matt, in your opinion, how often or how long do professional salespeople, or those that consider themselves professional salespeople, need to train? Well, you know, whenever I talk to companies, they'll say, yeah, we take our new recruits, and maybe they've never sold before, what have you, and we put them into training for a week, maybe 2 weeks. Maybe it's a really elaborate training and it's 3 weeks. And then they go out into the showroom floor or the field or what have you, and we kind of cut them loose, and now they've been anointed, they can go out and sell, only to never go back into training again because they've already been to training. As some of your colleagues in the industry say, that training isn't something that you have done, it's something that you do. Talk to me about that. It's got to be ongoing, right? To get better and better and better. I mean, doctors do that, lawyers do that, where they go continuing education. But it seems in sales that if a salesperson has been through training, they go through it and then they never go back to it because now they think, no, I'm a salesperson now, so I don't need training. Big mistake, right?
Yes and no, though, okay? Because I don't want to really turn everybody off. There's a lot of organizations out there that don't even send the person to that boot camp. So if your choice is to go, I'm just going to send them to a 1 day or whatever, or do nothing, please send them to the 1 day. Okay. Right. But hopefully my ugly ears, I mean, they're not too bad, won't give me away. But I've spent tens of thousands of hours fighting other people, right? I'm a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
And what I will tell you is this: there is absolutely no way I could have gone to a jiu-jitsu seminar, even a 1 day seminar, a 6-hour seminar, or these retreats that they wanted me to go to in Brazil for 3 days. I'm going to get a little bit better in that retreat, and I'm going to come back really sore, but I'm going to remember a few little bits of it, right? How I got really good at jiu-jitsu and how anybody gets really good at sports. Success happens in little 15-minute increments. Yeah. Success happens in little margins, and it's you learn to put your foot there. Or on a follow-up call, you learn to say XYZ, and then you go out into the field. The same way an NFL receiver goes, okay, my hand was twitching, right? And that defensive back noticed I'm trying to catch the ball, so I'm going to put my hands in tight, and I'm not going to look at the QB. And then I'm going to take 3 steps, and now I'm going to put my hands here, right? And I'm going to be ahead of that. It's those little success is not, hey, you're going to come to training camp, and you're going to become a world-class NFL receiver. You're going to be a Pro Bowl receiver. Success happens every day, every game, after every game, looking at film and going, how can I get a little bit better? That's how I went from somebody that literally got picked on as a kid, that was afraid of any sort of conflict, to a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I'm not saying I don't get destroyed, but I can hold my own with a UFC fighter, right? I can delay the inevitable, at least for a few minutes. That happened by me going to class every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Saturday. Those were my days. Writing down the things that I'm working on, thinking about the things that I'm getting better, and adding just a little. All you got to do, success happens in the margin. I'm adding this little tool to my toolbox this week. Right. I'm working on this week. I'm going to go through all my old leads, and I'm going to call them with this message this week, and I'm going to see how I do there. And then ideally, in something that, not to plug Easton University, but something we're proud of at Easton University, is we have live twice a week where people can ask me questions. If you're not going to put your people into training and you're a manager, you need to make sure that you have an open door policy, and you need to make sure that you're listening to them and you're encouraging them to go, Jim, what are you working on, right? How did that go? Walk me through that call. Not, again, just like social media, not to listen and dispute Jim and go, you did that wrong. Right. But actually have a coaching moment with your person. What went right there? What went wrong? Where can we do that a little bit differently? What are your goals you're working on, Jim? If you're not going to do that as a manager or a leader, at least get your people a coach, or put them in a room with people that are trying to get better. Yeah. If they can simply be in that environment, even just a few times a week consistently, they'll make their way to black belt in their career. But
Right.
even black belts still go to training and they still get better.
Absolutely. Yep.
The world changes, right? The phones are changing. Everything's changing. Marketing is changing.
Yep.
The economy is changing. We have to stay better. We have to stay sharp in order to save. And all of this, Jim, and not to get too passionate and preach, but we're not trying to sell more. That's a byproduct. We're trying to save our customers from themselves, right? We're trying to get them to make decisions. We're trying to help them make their life better. And if you don't feel like your job in sales is not only driving the economy, helping keep everybody employed, but most importantly, improving your customers' lives, then you need to have a pep talk with your manager and your leadership or your owner, whoever it is, or find another job, because this is a job where you should go home every night super proud that you helped people, organizations, whoever it is that you're selling to, move forward, right? Like this is not a manipulation industry. This is a I'm helping people find the right solution industry.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. No question about it. Matt Easton, sales coach and founder of Easton University and Sales Coaching. Thank you so much for joining us once again on the show. Very much appreciate it. I know our viewers get a lot out of your visits here with us. So thanks so much. Stay well till the next time.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.